Benjamin Franklin was a remarkable man and so important to the American Revolution. But how much do you know about his background and personal life? That's a fascinating story on its own. Join me today on the Ancestral Findings Podcast to learn the real tale of America's most famous founding father. Benjamin Franklin is so widely known to Americans of every century since the Revolution and was so closely associated with it. Even in his lifetime, he is often referred to as the only president of the United States who was never president of the United States. We all know Franklin was a brilliant author, newspaper publisher, scientist, inventor, and politician, and had a reputation with the ladies. We also know he was instrumental in orchestrating American independence. But what is this remarkable man's backstory? Benjamin Franklin was born on January 17th, 1706, in Boston, which was then a city in the English colony of Massachusetts. His father, Josiah Franklin, was a soap and candle maker, born in England. His mother, Abiah Folger, was born in Nantucket, Massachusetts, to a schoolteacher father and a mother who was a former indentured servant. Benjamin was the 15th child of Josiah and the 8th of Abiah, as Abiah was Josiah's second wife. Josiah married his first wife and child when still in England and had 3 children with her there before immigrating to America. Benjamin was also the 10th and last son of Josiah. His parents were Puritans, especially his mother, whose own parents had fled England for America when King Charles I began persecuting the Puritans there. Because his parents had so many children, Benjamin did not get the education they wanted for him. They originally intended for him to train to be a clergyman, but only had enough money to send him for 2 years, not long enough to graduate. He then went to the Boston Latin School, but also did not graduate. He educated himself by reading with a great appetite for books, but his formal education ended when he was 10. He worked with his father for a while, then was sent to Philadelphia to apprentice with his older brother, James, as a printer when he was 12. When he was 15, James denied Benjamin the chance to write a letter to James's paper. So Franklin wrote one under the pseudonym of Silence Dogood, an older widow. Silence published many letters in the paper, and they were popular among readers, offering advice to the people of the city. James was displeased when he discovered Mrs. Dogood was Benjamin. Benjamin took over the paper for 3 weeks when James was briefly jailed for publishing material unflattering to the governor, and used Mrs. Dogood to advocate passionately for free speech. When James was released, Benjamin left his apprenticeship without permission at age 17, which legally made him a fugitive. James did not pursue him. As Benjamin was making his way in the world on his own for the first time, he met and proposed to Deborah Reed while boarding with her family. Deborah's mother did not give her permission because Franklin was not financially stable yet, and because he was on his way to England to do some business for the governor. Franklin's stay in England was extended, and the governor did not give him the financial support he promised. Because of this delay, Deborah married another man, which turned out to be the wrong decision. Her husband was in debt and soon fled his debtors, going to Barbados and leaving Deborah behind, taking her dowry with him. Though her husband was not heard from again and his fate was unknown, current marriage laws made her not free to legally marry again. When Franklin returned from England, he still wanted Deborah, and the two of them set up a common law marriage in 1730. They took Benjamin's illegitimate son, William, into their home and raised him. William's mother has never been identified. And had 2 more of their own, a son named Francis, who died of smallpox at age 4, and a daughter named Sarah, who married Richard Bosch, had 7 children of her own, and took care of her parents in their old age. Franklin was stationed overseas many times during his life, sometimes on colony business, sometimes on United States business, and was often gone for years at a time. Deborah was afraid of sailing, so she never went with him. Because of this, she died in 1774 while he was in England, after writing to him that her fondest wish was to see him one more time. She didn't, as Franklin didn't return until the next year. When he returned from England after losing his wife, the revolution was already begun. He was almost immediately selected by Pennsylvania to be their delegate at the Second Continental Congress. While there, Benjamin was appointed to the Committee of Five to draft the Declaration of Independence, though Thomas Jefferson actually wrote it, with the rest of the committee only providing edits. After the Revolution, Americans considered him second only in importance to George Washington, and a number of busts and portraits were made of him to honor him. He also became involved in the abolitionist cause after the Revolution and freed his 2 slaves. His involvement in the cause brought him to the position of president of the Pennsylvania Abolition Society. Benjamin Franklin has a unique position in American history in being the only founding father who signed all 4 major documents of American independence: the Declaration of Independence, the Treaty of Alliance with France, the Treaty of Paris that ended the Revolution, and the U.S. Constitution. In the midst of all of this, he had a college named after him, he contributed a small sum of money to it, and wrote his autobiography, first as a letter to his son, and then because he thought it would be of benefit to all of mankind. Benjamin remained active in American society virtually up until his death on April 17, 1790, at his home in Philadelphia, age 84. Around 200,000 people attended his funeral, and he was buried in Christ Church Burial Ground in Philadelphia. Back when he was a young man of 22, he wrote what he then hoped would be his own obituary. It read, "The body of B. Franklin, printer, like the cover of an old book, its contents torn out, and, stripped of its lettering and gilding, lies here, food for worms. But the work shall not be wholly lost, for it will, as he believed, appear once more, in a new and more perfect edition, corrected and amended by the author." Yet, by the time he was older, he opted for something simpler. Per his own written instructions in his will, his dual grave marker simply reads, Benjamin and Deborah Franklin. His headstone may be simple, but this grand man of American history certainly was not. His legend lives still. Are you curious about what nation your family originated in before they came to the United States? Most genealogists are, as it helps them know more about their ancestors as well as their own personal history and culture. Tune in next time and I'll show you how to find those elusive places of origin.
Copyright by Ancestral Findings, all rights reserved.